Hello again. Welcome back. It's been a hot minute since we were last here. So why don't we get started with just a little bit of cooking to get the ball rolling before we get into the rest of today's activities, as it were. I thought I might go for something a bit different this time. We've been using this Farmer's Delights cooking quite a bit, but there are other options available to us in this cooking franchise, as it were. So we're going to go for something a little bit green this time. We'll take some bread, some tomatoes, some cabbage, some tofu to make some veggie burgers. Not as grandiose in cooking as whenever we use our farming pot, but I still appreciate these other options we have. Now, when last we left off, I was struggling a bit with the sort of windmill, the water wheel over here. So we'll go and check in on how that has been going down. But first, we'll swing over this way. As you can see, there's something of a new addition here out in the paddock. It was sort of when I was going about making food, I sort of realised that wheat was becoming a bit of a pinch point. And, well, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. I still think that looks very nice. Obviously, the crows are still a bit of a problem, but what you gonna do? Quite lush fields of endless wheat. We do have a little water wheel here as well. I'll show you what that's doing inside. But we also have at the front here a lovely windmill, which we might do a little bit of an upgrade for. It's not really providing power to this building at this point. It's more for the look of it. But we'll worry about that in a minute. So in here we have a bit of a millstone setup. So millstones from Create can be used to grind up specific resources, similar to the way that crushers can be used to double your resources from ores. These can be used to sort of increase or give you different products from a variety of more organic goods. They also do crush up stone and stuff, which has been handy because I've been needing a bit of gravel lately. In here we've just got some wood from the construction, a bunch of seeds, as you can see, which probably will help us later down the line, and a bunch of wheat. As you can see, we've got a good chunk of hay bales here. Now we have been getting some straw, which comes from rice patties, and I'll go into a little bit about that later, but for now, let me just sort of admire the inside of this building. I think it looks rather nice. More of those grey framed glass planes, as you can see. Now, unfortunately, I had planned to set up this mixer that could, help make a bunch of dough and stuff like that. But unfortunately, we don't have the kind of rotational speed here just yet. But I still think it looks nice, as it were. So this is the other side of the water wheel that was outside. It sort of runs underneath this building here and up into this center point here, which is sort of turning everything around. Could give a demonstration, which is one bit of wheat, I think. So you can see it's being crushed up. It's done because the animation stopped, and ta-da, wheat flour. Now this can be used for a variety of things. You can create dough, which you can make slime balls with, or most likely you can cook it into bread. Sort of, again, making a bit more of an efficient return on our resources. Not that we're short on wheat, of course, but it looks rather nice when it's all laid out like this, I think. So next up, we'll swing back to the tool shed. See how things have been going there. Haven't really been doing a lot of technological stuff lately. It's crows. Been well focused on other projects, but we are going to get into a little bit of tech stuff in a minute. So just the way that we left it, everything's sort of nicely set up in here. As you can see out this window, we have finished our water wheel, and over there we have our little power shed. So still not exactly the best thing I've ever made, but it looks a bit nicer than it did before. Sort of give you a bit of a look on the inside. So in here, we have this piston setup, so if we ever need to turn it off. And here we have these low voltage wire relays coming out of the kinetic dynamos that we set up down there. The power goes along here, in here, out here, along these wooden posts, then up into this hut up here. This is sort of made with a bit of spruce and treated wood. I think it does look nice, the sort of difference in tones there. Now obviously this will probably have some more stuff in it later on when we really get into the immersive engineering side of things, but upstairs is sort of where all our power is being collected. So those wires outside connect to this central point just here, which is a capacitor. So the power goes in, but then it goes immediately back out into these capacitors down here. Each of them holds 100,000 IF. So we've got 5 on each side. It's about 1 million right there. Which sounds like a lot, but realistically isn't all that much. Can run something big for a little bit of time. So that was the power hut that we set up. But down over this way is a little bit more of a passion project, I suppose you could say, that I've been working on. I had tried to find a variation of trains with creates and stuff like that to put into our world here. Unfortunately, there was nothing that was really working in regards to that, and none of the other train mods I found kind of had the right aesthetic. It might look a little out of place to see just a big metropolitan, like a subway train just out in the wilderness here. But this is T.A.R.D.I.S Station. A little handy map to remind us where we are. We're here. And, it's a pretty nice view, a very coastal station, as it were. There is a bit of flattened ground down here. Now, that is going to be what I'm going to be working on next. That is where I want to put sort of like a lumber mill, where we can sort of bring some wood. We're going to have to set up a sawmill in there, so we can sort of chop up wood and get sawdust. Sawdust is going to be very helpful for us very shortly, actually. But, we could walk to our next destination, or we could make use of the lovely opportunity afforded to us here. I should probably show you around the station. It's nothing sensational. Actually, I do really like the look of I do really like the look of the information center here. Typically, we've got some benches that we can sit on. I do like sort of like the raft is up above. The bricks do look very nice. They're just a little bit off from the regular sort of very bright red. Sort of keeps everything sort of a very mellow tone. Spruce branch, trapdoor, little raspberry bush. Here we have the counter. In here we have additional minecarts. Also, you can imagine ticket information. So there's 2 destinations that we have actually set up, which I'm, in case you can't tell, quite excited to get to. We have Songbell, which is that village that we've spent a bit of time in. It's the one that has that ravine that leads to that sort of ominous underground. Thankfully, we won't be going there today, but there is sort of a trader in the village, a mason, who's been really helpful in getting me all the bricks and stuff that I need. So we come back here, but look, a little secret trapdoor. So these are metal trapdoors, but thankfully, in case of an emergency, we do have something of a universal key. But we won't be needing that right now, as I've left it. Under here we have sort of like a little railway maintenance little bay. So we can see testing on the minecarts. In here we have a bunch of rails, some detector rails. But as you can see, we're pretty much out of iron. And another big sticking point for this is really being gold to get the powered rails. Well, what's the worst that could happen? So we hop on in here, push the button, and off we go. we go through the bayou. On second thoughts, we might want to find somewhere to sleep in town really quickly. Perhaps I was overconfident in our nighttime journeys, but here we are, Songbell Station. I like to imagine we'll call this village Songbell. Because there's that bell by the water fountain. So here we have a little map of the village. Might need a little bit of updating. We'll go into that in a minute. But in here, I've sort of done up the inside of this place. Again, I am a big fan of sort of these raspberry bushes as decorations. I've got a couple of paintings around. The information desk. You can imagine these are like vouchers and information tickets about what's going on in town. Lanterns to sort of give it that nicer light. And a little crafting table for when we need it. I still think there's something missing from this place, but I haven't been able to quite figure it out yet. Maybe as we work around Songbell, sort of ideas for this place will sort of grow and expand. So we'll take a little walk out into the main street. So it's a little bit tidier now. I sort of found myself with a bit of time to kill. I was waiting on crops to grow or specific resources to sort of smelt and convert. So I went around tidying up the towns a bit. Sort of, you know, patching up the grass pathways, fixing up any holes in the terrain, taking trees out of people's houses. Oh, you know, I missed a spot. There we go. It's a bit rough with the wooden planks, but that was there when I got here. I didn't feel the need to dig up everything and change everything. So obviously there's that familiar ravine we've been exploring. Yeah, just a little bit of tidying up. I imagine we've got some stuff we can work on here in Songbell. Here we have like a little railway crossing where you can see that the train tracks do continue off into the distance. Good day to you too. Aha. So this is the mason I've been working with. You can see sort of all sorts of good deals. Because mainly I just sell the clay for emeralds and then immediately turn those emeralds into bricks. It's just saves on smelting and stuff like that. Just nice, quick and easy source of bricks. Although I do have plans to set up a better means of getting hands on bricks in the future. And that's sort of all I've really done in Songbell at the moment. Set up a little train station, just tidy the place up a bit. I do have ideas for something I want to put here, but we'll see how that turns out down the line. Yeah, I found it sort of pleasant work, I suppose, to sort of restore sort of the damaged auto-generating terrain and tidy things up a bit. So everyone's got a pathway to their house. It's sort of nice. But that's all that's really going on in Songbell at the minute. So we're going to hop back in our minecarts and travel to our next destination. So where we're off to next is the town of Birchbank, which is the next one along this line. I do like the idea of sort of connecting all these villages and places where we set stuff up with our minecarts. I feel like that would be a nice little passion project, as it were. So up ahead, we have a bridge I built that I'm pretty happy with. Sort of all spruce and treated wood. See if we can get a better view of it when we're up on the next part of the track. There we go. Ooh, not so much for the view. There you go. That's not too bad. Down and across. A less intense sort of bridge, but we'll see more of this style later on. Bam, and here we are. Birchbank Station. So, this is probably my favourite thing that I've been working on since we were last here. Welcome to the Bookworm Cafe. So we can see we've decorated this place quite a bit. Some lovely paintings, blackberry bush, cluttered books everywhere, jars, little decorations on the shelves, sort of like a kitchen set up in the background, more books everywhere. So this is, obviously it says it's a cupboard, but I like to imagine itself a fridge. And inside we have a bunch of apple cider. Tidy that up. Yeah, a bunch of apple cider. Peering behind the counter here, you can see we've got our cutting board, our little stone stairs for like sort of workstation, furnace, stove, cooking pot. There's our skillet, pantry here. Got these shelves that I finally figured out. So up here we've got pears and olive oils and apples, and over here we've got jam and vinegar, like sort of all just sort of like cooking ingredients. In here we have a little bit of food that we've picked up. Some plums, some pears, some olives, and some iron ingots. So as you can see out the front here, golems eat for free. So yeah, I just had a lot of fun sort of like decorating the inside of this place. Sort of reminds me of when we were making that house at the start, putting in all the interior design and stuff like that. I think this is a nice little addition to Birchbank. So similar to Songbell, I was decorating, sort of like tidying things up a bit. Oh yeah, we've also got a swinging sign. Donk. But Birchbank, I've spent a bit of time here lately, outside of just tidying up and setting up the cafe there. Our next project is sort of mainly going to be, well, what we're working on next is mainly going to be help fueling what's going on here in Birchbank. I love this little garden area that's set up. Bit of gravel and cobblestone. You can sit here and just sort of relax. So, I'm sure you can see it over here. We'll take a bit of a shortcut, but up here is what we're working on next. This is going to be, I like to imagine sort of like a great library that we're going to have here in Birchbank. And because whenever I go mining, I am obviously the enchantment. Also, the limited capacity on our enchantments is starting to become a bit of a recurring issue whenever we go mining. So we need a place where we can finally put down bookshelves and get some higher level enchants, perhaps get some villagers working here to get some more elusive enchants. But in here, it's like very bare bones sort of set up at the moment. So as you can see, we've got some empty bookshelves, which I feel like we can just put whatever we like in there, which would be pretty fun. Over here, obviously, these are sort of all the bookshelves I was able to muster with all of our sugarcane, and this is sort of all we could really make. So obviously this upstairs area. This still, again, it's very early days for this building. Although I am thinking about knocking out this back wall here and sort of putting in some sort of like stained glass style image on the back here, which might look very nice. Sort of like when you come in the main doors and see it there, sort of like lanterns hanging maybe on a chandelier, just sort of all this stuff to make it really nice. But that's going to have to be a little further down the line, as I pointed out, this is sort of all we've got in terms of bookshelves. Obviously, like sugarcane and leather. So paper and leather to make books. Wood we have in abundance. It's really the books that are the main sticking point. So my way of solving that issue is, well, part one of solving that issue is just over here. So remember I was saying I had to spend a good bit of time just sort of waiting and idling around? Well, this is why. I went off to a swamp and I was able to finally find some of the right kind of rice crops that we needed. So as you can see here, this is finally starting to fill out. So when we harvest this, we will get a bunch of rice panicle. So this is very useful because when we put it in those millstones that we have back at the main sort of area, you can see that milling it up produces rice, which is great, but more importantly, it produces straw. Straw is going to be very useful for us because when we put it into a small grid like this, we get canvas. Canvas can be used in replacement of leather to make books. So that's why all this is here. It's all been set up like that. So that's part one of the operation. Part two is we need to make a lot of paper. I never really liked the way that a lot of sugarcane farms looked. You see a lot of the modern ones that are like, automated contraptions where they just like push them off, and so I've never really liked the look of sugarcane farms, all sort of like automated with like detectors and pistons and all that sort of stuff, which doesn't really match the vibe we're sort of going for here in this world. Excuse me. Just gonna borrow this for a minute. It doesn't really match the vibe that we're going for in this world, unfortunately. So we are looking for an alternative, which is why I brought up the sawmill. So, in order to make paper, obviously sugarcane, plant fiber, not really sure how to get our hands on that. But as you can see here, sawdust. Sawdust comes from a sawmill, which is like a big multi-block structure. But if we start just feeding blocks through the sawmill, we'll be able to get ourselves a good amount of sawdust, which we can then use to make paper, to make bookshelves. Sorry, to make paper, to make books, to make bookshelves, which will help us in filling out this place here, which I think will be pretty good. As you can see, we've got a little bit of a setup outside, strawberries, thinking like planter boxes, flowers. I feel like this place will turn out, if it matches what I've got in my head, it'll look really nice at the end. But as I'm sure you can tell, the track does keep going. We won't go down there today, but I'll bring it up on the mini-map to sort of show you what's going on out there. As we can see, I've sort of built this rather large bridge that sort of goes across the ocean like this, and over to this village over here. As you can see, we've started setting up a station, but sort of the arrival is all that's there at the moment. I'd like to sort of come up with an idea of what we can have at this particular village before we worry about the logistics of putting in the train station and stuff like that. Though it is a pretty nice village, quite a few immersive engineers over there. Actually, I didn't realize this until I was like 2/3 of the way through building the bridge and I looked across, but over here we have a dark forest. So we might finally be able to get our hands on some of that dark oak. So, but that is a sort of a quest for another day. Right now we're going to head on back to T.A.R.D.I.S and maybe break ground on this sawmill location. So as you can see, there are quite a few power rails that have really been eating up my supply of gold, but it's worth it. Certainly faster than walking. Just a short stopover. I was also looking at other mods that I wanted to install. I wanted to find some really nice weather mods that might give us like cool weather events, like sort of like frosty and desert, stuff like that. But unfortunately there isn't really a lot for this version. All that sort of more intense weather stuff comes a bit later on. Also, it's a little tricky to expand the mod list here. There are a lot of clashes and bugs sometimes, but we make do. Well, actually, something else I should show you whilst we're here. I know, there's quite a bit going on. I've had a bit of free time. But down here, as you can sort of see, this will probably be after we've finished connecting out from Birchbank. We'll have another railway going in the opposite direction. I've started to dig out this massive tunnel down here. Of course, it does need a little bit of work, but it sort of goes on and on and on. Didn't get my measurements quite right, so we did have to do a little tunneling through the ocean at some point, which was a bit of a predicament. But we were able to get through in the end. So this goes all the way along. Well, not yet, but ideally it will go all the way along and connect to this village over here. The terrain in this village is quite sort of like vertical. There's a lot of verticality in the terrain of this village here. So we're going to have to find a good spot to connect the station up. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's been really fun, tidying up villages, connecting little railway networks, all that sort of stuff. So ideally this is where the sawmill is going to go. So the lumber mill, I should say. I have a vague idea of how I want it to look, and thankfully I've done a bit of resource collecting. But first, let's enjoy this veggie burger. Lovely. So in here, we have a bit of stuff I'd like to use. We've got some smooth stone, some gravel, some oak logs, some spruce logs, some dirt, just sort of all the main ingredients we're going to need for a typical us kind of structure. Just to get things in place and the such. I suppose there's nothing else to do but to get to it. Step one, let's use our dirt to make a bit of an outline of the idea we have. So I'm thinking at the front here, we'll have sort of like the landing area for when any transport ships bring any wood into the sawmill. So we'll just have a small space out the front before we get into the main building. Figured out what I was missing. Just had to put some music on in the background. Really get into it, as it were. I'll be damned if that ain't pretty, but we should probably get to bed before we risk a blood moon, which will sort of delay our progress here significantly. It really is coming along quite well, isn't it? I would like it if I could just make it just a tiny bit more foggy around here. I don't know, really give that sort of coastal ambient vibe to it. But you know, wants and wanes. Actually, we might... What kind of fish are those? Looks like we've got some trout living in here now. Not at all my intention. You know, I think I did add like another sort of fishing mod, as it were. So it looks like it's working, which is good. So, you know, expand our fishing opportunities. It is very nice just to go fishing in this game. After all, we put in all that work on our dock over there just so we can have somewhere to cast our line from. That's another idea. Maybe I should look to see if I can like put any sort of... Like, trains didn't work, but what if we could put some sort of like boats in? That might be pretty nice. We sort of go out sailing. Obviously, we can build the boats ourselves, but... Look, I'm not amazing at this. There are some limits to what I can do. Well, this building might, for instance, be one of those limits. So let's get back to it. Obviously, very bare bones outline at the moment. Because I've seen the idea we're going for, we have this main central, like more warehouse style. We'll sort of keep all the lumber and then attach the side is probably where we'll put the sawmill itself. Thankfully, our power hut is just up there, so with a couple of power lines around the back, I think we'll be able to get things running around here in no time. Might be just a twinge too high. Maybe just a little bit down. It's too down. It's like it's going to be another one of those times where I have to stop midway through and go and get some more spruce wood. That looks a bit more sensible. Now we've got the frame. Let's put in some blocks around the side. I don't think I want to do wood this time. I did rack my brain for a little bit, running around underground, trying to find the right kind of like stone. I was like tossing up between gabbo or even clay. But clay and terracotta, the texture's too smooth and uniform. We want something that's just a little bit rough. Andesite is too pale. Granite doesn't really feel right. So what I eventually ended up settling on, well, we'll see how it looks, but is limestone. I'm sure there are limestone deposits somewhere under the ground, but I haven't been able to find any at the moment. Don't watch back through the footage and say like, oh, there was one right there. So what I ended up is having to use the mills that we have to crush up some lime sand. So to make lime sand, which we get from crushing just regular sand. So that was another good use of our our grindstone area. Tell you what I think we need. I think that's a little too rough looking. Nice sawmill. I think so not sawmill, like the mason sawmill thing. We'll see what we can get out of this limestone. Gone through all this hard work to get it. I have a sneaking suspicion though that cobbled limestone. You live and you learn. Alright, let's try this again. Bit of stone. Bench saw. There we go. I really should get an upgrade in my backpack. Let's just carry one around. But I do like having them put out across the map. Layered limestone or polished limestone? A little to work with, so let's check out the layered. Let's check out the polished. I don't think bricks will be quite right, or maybe like a few bricks interspersed to sort of show like a weathering effect. But let's have a look. So this is the layered limestone. Wait, oh, that's not too terrible. And then this is the polished limestone. I'm not sure if either one is really doing it for me, but there does come a point where you have to sort of just get going with the project. I can't call it all this early. Besides, this might actually provide us with a very unique opportunity to practice a sort of style of building and decoration I haven't done in a while now. Perhaps we give this sawmill more of like a weathered look. Imagine it being on like the coast, so it's a little more exposed to the elements. Not everything needs to be, you know, brand new. So let's get to it. I'm going to do the flooring here whilst we're at it. A bit of a longer roof this time, sort of like stick out from the ends a little bit. 2. I think we'll probably put oak stairs in the middle, just so again that contrast. Thankfully, the roof connects right to this little pathway here. Well, now that the base building is all put together, we should probably turn our attention to what we're going to need for that sawmill. And once we put the sawmill in, we can get about finishing the rest of it off. We just need to sort of get an understanding of where that's going to sit in there. Which means going back to the tool shed. So, in our handy engineering guide here, we can see everything we're going to need for this sawmill and roughly how much space it's going to take up. Looks like it's about a 5x3 kind of structure. Looks like it should be pretty easy to put together, but we might have to start digging into our steel reserves. So as you can see, there's a list of everything we're going to need. That is everything we need to put the sawmill together. Well, almost everything. We are going to need a blade to go in the sawmill, quite obviously. I did remember saying that our steel wouldn't last all that long. It's quite heavy on the resources. Oops. Immersive engineering, but that's part of the charm. You really got to work for what you want. And we have a saw blade. Now, let's head back to the sawmill and construction and get this thing put in. Oh, seems like we've got our first visitor. Yeah, you missed. Let's put a little light in here. And I suppose that would be the right way to have it. We sort of wanted the input to be on the log side of the building and then the output to be on the other end. But 3x5 is what we're working with here. Our little engineering guide does give us like a little step-by-step how to make this. It's about right. All the pieces in place. Now we just right click. I'll be right back. So you know what? I'm going to put one in my backpack. Take two. Fairly certain we just need to right click here? No. Here? No. With the engineer's hammer, we just right click here. And there we have it. Our first machine. Funny looking fella. Now, this is I believe this is the output side. I think. Which means power should come in here at the top. Now, I wonder, we have our saw blade. Do we just... And there it goes. We should install a bit of a safety switch just to make sure there's no accidents that take place. I was really hoping that would work. So I'm sure we can find one piece of cobblestone out here. In fact, snap. So that should hopefully keep it off. Alrighty. So it looks like the output is here. Just drop it onto sawmill on here. Alright. Let's have a bit of a snooze. And in the morning, we'll plug the power in. That was lucky. So for this, we are going to need some relays, some connectors, some wires, and do we have any of them left? No, we might just have to make a couple more of those poles that we have. They're not overly necessary, but I think they look nice. So for the wooden post, we need some of these. Probably are actually going to have to put a little bit of stone on because we need some stone bricks. So what we're going to want to do is take power out from the inside of our power hut now, because we don't really want to connect to like the charging grid. We sort of want to take out from that big power line we've set up on the inside of the hut. So we'll take that out, down across the hill, and into the side of the mill. So we'll probably go right past the railway line. Just have to keep in mind that the railway line does need to expand a little bit, so we'll try not to get too close. And actually also need a good bit more wire and connectors. So whilst the stone's smelting, I'll do that. Just coming down here to look for some clay, but look! We have jellyfish. And give them a bit of distance. I only need a little bit of clay to make a couple of terracotta blocks to set up these relays. This should do nicely. Just one more. There we go. Stone. We'll make just a couple more of these posts. So we might need a bit more than that. Good thing we've got all this treated wood. That should hopefully be enough. I'm not overly experienced at the wire relay process, so we'll hope for the best, I suppose. So we have energy input and energy output. So I reckon we'll wire up only one side. So this, the left-hand side. Wonderful. Right, we'll do some perilous wiring. The left-hand side can be for stuff that's on this side, and the right-hand side can go out that way. If we need to change things up later on, just change things up. Okay, that was bad. Let's just hunker in here for a hot minute. Eat one of these veggie burgers. What? We might just have to sit this one out. Perfect time to go get a drink, I think. Wait right here. Blood moon sets and the undead begin to burn. Sounds like trouble outside. Sounds like the trouble outside has finally begun to pass. We can get back to what we were working on. Going to need a little bit of dirt. I reckon across here, over here, Perhaps they should all be in the same line, I think. Along to here. Along to here. Up to here. Now we'll start going across. Over to here. Perhaps down to here. Actually, we might want one more capacitor to sort of plug into the wall there. First, we should make sure that our relays are a good distance. Should do is put the capacitor right in the middle here. If I had remembered to make it. So plug this in there. Take our hammer. We want input on this side. We'll need a connector. Then connect this to this, and hopefully we should see it start to fill up. There we go. Around to the inside. Put energy output on this side. We'll put a connector here, and then put a single relay just above the two. Go from this to that, from this to that. All right. It's currently off. There we go. It's on. It's spinning. All right. Now we're cooking. I mean, I think the best thing to do is test it on. Let's just toss that on there. Sawdust and a block. There's the sawdust. But with the bench saw, we could turn this one block back into stairs. Free sawdust. Which makes sense. Unfortunately, there's an option to just convert wood straight into sawdust. But this should hopefully be very, very good. Right. Let's put a chest in. Put a bench saw in. Actually, let's bring this stuff outside. Bring it inside. Grab this and this. Oh, now we're cooking. Funny looking setup, but it'll still work. Chest here. And then I reckon we'll put a hopper and a chest at the end here to pick up what we put through. Take this spruce plank, put it in here, get the spruce stairs back. See how this works. Drop it on there. Goes through, into there, into the hopper, into the chest. And here we have another sawdust. Now we're cooking. So what we'll do actually, we're done with these spruce stairs for the moment, I think. So we'll just put them in there. I think it'll be slow, taking one at a time. Okay, we might have to do a little figuring things out. We can do this for now. It's going through. Power's good. Sawdust good. Spruce good. Alright, I just wish it would take from the stack. Might have to do something about that. Like set up some sort of conveyor belt, pulls it out, puts it on, puts it through. stack for now. Sawdust, spruce planks. Again, sawdust will make the paper we need for books. The rice will make the canvas we need for the books. Realistically, we're starting to get to the end of our book production woes. But we'd better get back to the house for a minute. Sleep the night away, and then resume, continue to pick up building the sawmill, the lumber mill in the morning. Alright, now that the inside's set up, we can put a few more fine touches on our lumber mill here. The roof is, it's because it's going to be. We might add something along the underside to give it more of like a 3D sort of look. Probably add some windows. Again, now we can just sort of free build, as it were, just sort of do whatever takes our fancy. I think first things first, I do want to fill out here with gravel so that we can have that sort of rough landing. I know it's been a bit quiet for this one so far, but I do hope things are going well for you. You know how it is. Busy life and all. It's nice to be able to unwind and play a bit of relaxing Minecraft from time to time. I actually started using shovels more frequently. Especially all the paths I had to do in the villages, it just sort of became a bit of a necessity to pack one. I should be more careful with my gravel. Each gravel block placed does have the potential to be lost to us if we have to dig it back up. And maybe at some point we'll also put in a bit of a small dock or like an offload point after if any ships come in to deliver lumber and whatnot. Landing, workshop entrance. There should be some sort of like gateway here. Sort of like a big doorway. Staircase with a nice safety rail. Might change those fences over something a little darker, which is perhaps the perfect excuse to go and visit that dark oak forest and get a couple trees for ourselves. We probably have time. Oh, but it's so far away. If only we had a way of getting there very quickly. Well, relatively quickly. Looks like we might be getting a look at that elongated rail right now. Actually, before we set off, I will need a little assistance whilst I'm out there. Alright, off we go. Might have to come back through and sort of flatten this part of the track out a bit. It does go like up and down a lot. A little swamp tour. We are at Songbell. Let's just go straight through. Down and across the bridge. We'll just breeze through Birchbank here. We'll notice with these powered rails, I have set up detectors to sort of pulse them and set them off now. Obviously, you'll see in a second, but a majority of this bridge is made out of gravel, which is a bit difficult to put redstone torches under. So I opted for this detector pulse sort of thing. Works out fine. As you can see, it's a bit of a long bridge. It's not quite finished yet. I'm going to like add stuff over the top, give it a sort of vibe, add like big columns at some point. But that's for then. This is now. Here we are. As you can see, the station is still in progress at this point, but I've tidied it up a little bit. It's rather nice out here. Sort of rolling hills. So I think we want to head down to the... There we go. Down to the beach and across. I have to be quick. It is getting a bit dark out here. Finally. Dark oak logs. Just a bit more. Right now we're only using them for the fences anyway, so we'll have a... Shouldn't be that much of a burden. Pick up a couple saplings. Put a couple back, just to regrow what we've disturbed here. Alrighty, I think we better get back home. Tell you what, we'll leave this boat here, just in case we need to swing back someday. The safer option would surely be to rest in town, but I don't want to take the train whilst it's sort of dusk time. Back we go. Oh no. Might have to sort that out first. Take two. Off we go. I think with the right lighting, this bridge would be very pretty at night. So, you know, gentle lights to pop up at points in the dark. It's not going to work. Ooh. Ah, well, guess we're walking. It's alright, we need the experience and the gunpowder, I suppose. Might have to take a shortcut here. I'll share how much is coming through, but that looks quite nice. We might just have to stay the night at Birchbank. I would have thought he would have showed up here. We'll look for him in the morning. Do you see a creeper-shaped dot on the map? Excuse me. Road again. And here we are, back at Isle-of-Dean. Right now we'll place these fence posts. A bit nicer. Yeah, that's sort of contrast. The tone of the dark oak is almost the same tone as sort of the spruce logs. So I think that looks rather nice. Knockout here, put a bit of like a crane elevator in. And I know how to make it look nice. We've done it sort of before on the docks way over there. Somewhere like that. Get a little bit of dirt. Maybe not spruce, but I think trapdoors is like a base plate. It's a good way to go. Good thing, just got all this dark oak. Doesn't it look nice? So like a little, like a pallet that's being lifted up by the crane here. It's even better in the sunshine. Must look like a big block of chocolate. It's not important. What is important is that we put these spruce trapdoors up there, almost looking like a barn door kind of vibe. See, so big shutters, as it were. Bit more of a face to it there, little 3D texture. I think that's coming along very nicely. But my time is shorter than I anticipated. So I will take care of things here, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks very much.